Hi, I'm Katie Siskind. I'm the owner of Wisdom Within Counseling and Coaching. I specialize with distant couples who are stuck in a cycle of sexual rejection, avoidance, and loneliness. And I help you build both emotional expression and emotional vulnerability, as well as sexual desire, sexual connection, and physical intimacy. So I would love to help you and your partner rebuild your sex life and improve closeness and bonding through physical touch. You can work with me at wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com. Today's video is all about erectile dysfunction. So sometimes we can get stuck in a cycle of sexual avoidance because of erectile issues. So sometimes when you can't remain hard or you've lost your erection during a sexual activity, this can lead to sexual performance anxiety, which then makes you so anxious about a future sexual experience that you end up avoiding wanting to be naked, you avoid wanting to be intimate, and you actually withdraw from the physical connection of your relationship. And you may only want to do things outside the house together, or you may do everything you possibly can to avoid sexual encounters with your partner. Your partner may have no idea that you are suffering from this high level of anxiety. So within the realm of breaking the cycle of sexual avoidance, and this sexual standoff is really understanding that erectile dysfunction and sexual performance anxiety can be parts of this pie. When we look at sexual avoidance and breaking the cycle, there are many pieces of the pie, but if we're zooming in on one aspect, which can be erectile issues or fear of not being a good lover, fear of not staying hard, this can be a good thing to talk about. And I like to offer a safe space to get familiar and comfortable talking about sex, which we often don't learn how to do growing up. Growing up, we learn that sex is dirty, that sex is taboo, that sex is only for procreation and only for making a baby. And that can be really challenging to push past. It can lead to shame, guilt, and even insecurity. So if you grew up in an environment where sex was not talked about, you didn't get sex positive education, this video and all of my videos are to help you start to feel positive about your sex life and start to learn more about your own sexuality. When it comes to erectile dysfunction, there can be pornography-induced erectile dysfunction issues, which means that if you're watching pornography, you may be conditioning yourself to only become sexually aroused through watching porn. What happens is you withdraw from your partnership to watch pornography, and then you mentally and sexually can only become aroused from watching pornography. So you essentially get really conditioned, or you train yourself, or you have this learned behavior of only being sexually aroused from porn, making real life partner sex super challenging. In a real life partner sexual experience with your spouse, you have to read body language. You have to learn how to caress their body. You have to be attuned. You have to notice the facial features, their body language. You have to notice the sounds they make. When you always watch pornography, you don't have to interact with another human being. So you essentially condition yourself to not have to engage in the emotional world. And emotional intimacy is an important part of foreplay. So pornography can also make you develop unrealistic expectations around your own body. You might develop unrealistic expectation that you have to have a hard penis in order to be a good lover. And you actually do not need to have a hard penis to bring pleasure to your partner. There are many different diverse ways to offer your partner pleasure. But if you're constantly watching pornography, there's a huge emphasis and a kind of an obsession with a hard penis. And you may feel like you have to live up to these actors or these actresses. You may feel like you have to live up to these unrealistic expectations. So reducing porn use and becoming aware of your porn use and how it's affecting your sex life with your partner is a wonderful part of starting to break the cycle of sexual avoidance. Another piece when we look at staying positive and becoming aware of erectile issues is eating nutritious foods. If you're eating junk foods, living off of sugar, candy, caffeine, staying up late at night, playing video games, not taking good care of your body, drinking lots of soda, not having breakfast, not having lunch, not having dinner, having a very restrictive food intake or binge eating, that's going to affect your libido and your ability to get sexually aroused. If you're drinking lots of alcohol, that can make it really challenging to maintain an erection. And it can also make it really challenging to stay mentally present. So I want you to think about eating real nutritious foods and developing a healthy relationship with fresh fruits and vegetables and good quality foods. So that's a really big piece of being a good lover, is taking good care of yourself, feeding yourself on a regular basis, knowing your own energetic reserves are low and you need fuel, and then giving yourself the nutritious food is an important part of bringing your best self to your sexual relationship. Now, when we look at the cycle of sexual avoidance, we have oftentimes a need for healthy communication. Sometimes there can be issues like feeling criticized or feeling like your spouse wants you to meet certain expectations, or feeling like your spouse, there's some pressure coming from your spouse, or issues around criticism, defensiveness, blaming each other. When you guys do get into conflicts, it's yelling, there's door slamming, there's name calling, it's hurtful, it doesn't go well. And so we need to have healthy communication in order to have an emotionally safe bond. And when you have emotional security and you feel safe sharing your emotions with your partner, that allows you to feel safe in the bedroom and feel safe in the realm of sexual connection. So healthy communication is a big piece when it comes to breaking the cycle of sexual avoidance. Now, another piece when it comes to erectile dysfunction and erectile issues is that we have a need for taking the focus off of penetrative sex. So also porn does have a big focus on penetrative sex. And so we grow up thinking that all touch or all cuddling has to lead to penetrative sex, which creates performance anxiety and makes you think about the future before the future is even here yet. So I want you to think about getting present, getting intentional, getting in the moment, embodying the here and the now. In order to enjoy cuddling, in order to enjoy spooning or making out or French kissing, we have to be present and in the moment. We cannot be thinking about the future, and we also can't be thinking about the grief and loss and trauma of the past. We have to be in the here and now. So I want you to practice things like meditation, tuning into the colors you see around you, the feeling of your partner's fingertips running across your back and gently grazing the side of your body. I want you to feel into your body and take the focus off of all touch having to lead to penetrative sex. It could lead to oral sex. It could lead to just having a wonderful, passionate French kissing session. It could lead to cuddling in a nap together. It could lead to laughter and silliness. Touch is something that is really important, and I want you to sprinkle in non-sexual touch and touch that does not have to, out of obligation, lead to penetrative sex. And that can help take some of the pressure off of having to perform and help relieve some of the erectile issues. So those mindfulness and relaxation skills are essential when it comes to breaking the cycle of sexual avoidance and sexual rejection. We need to be in the body, in the present moment. Now, another piece is cultural, religious, conservative background oriented shame and guilt. So if you grew up in a strict conservative religious upbringing, you may be struggling with shame, guilt, and anxiety around your sexuality. So you may have been told, hey, you can't have premarital sex, or if you masturbate, you're going to hell and you won't go to heaven. Or, if you enjoy sex, that's bad, that's evil, it's just for having children. Or you may have been taught fears, like if you masturbate and engage in self-pleasure, that you'll grow acne, that your genitals will be damaged, that you'll be infertile, that you'll get shorter, that you'll get taller, that there'll be bad things that happen, that you'll grow hair on your palms. You may have been told a lot of fear and shame-based messages due to a strict conservative and religious upbringing. So we do need to start looking at how culture, society, and religion has influenced your view of yourself. You may, think that, I have to have a longer penis, or I have to, behave in a certain way, or I have to make my partner orgasm in order to have a successful sexual experience. So we need to push back on some of these religious conservative views and take a look at shame, guilt, and anxiety that often comes from misinformation and a lack of positive education around sex. Now, when it comes to sexual avoidance and you've lost an erection or have not had an erection during sexual experiences, now you're feeling maybe some shame or inadequacy around that now, it's really important to be vulnerable with your partner emotionally around what you need in terms of reassurance and security. So emotional connection, emotional security, and emotional intimacy are important foundational building blocks for building sexual desire, sexual confidence, and physical intimacy. So it's important to be vulnerable. We often are taught to stuff our emotions away, to only look happy, to make everything seem perfect, to not ask for help, right? So I want you to think about vulnerability as letting your partner in. Intimacy is into me, you see. So tell your partner your worries. Say, hey, I'm really scared about losing my erection, so that's why I pull away. That's why I make up every excuse to not engage sexually. That's why when you go in to hug me, I pull away because I'm anxious that it's gonna have to lead to sex, or you're gonna want that from me, and I don't wanna disappoint you, and I'm really afraid to disappoint you and be an inadequate partner, or I'm afraid that you're gonna find someone that's better at this than me and leave me and abandon me. And so I want you to be vulnerable emotionally. That is an important piece of building a healthy sex life. So these are just some tips when it comes to breaking the cycle of sexual avoidance. I specialize in sex and intimacy. I'm a certified sex therapy informed professional, which means that I help couples break the cycle of sexual withdrawal, sexual disconnection. If you're in a sexless marriage and you want to rebuild a positive, healthy, connected, desire-oriented, and pleasure-oriented sex life, I'd love to help you do so. So often we engage in sex or touch because we feel obligated. We feel like it's part of the to-do list, or we're afraid that our partner will find it elsewhere if we don't give it to them. And that is not an empowered mindset. So I want you to feel empowered, have a consensual experience of sexual pleasure with your partner. And I specialize in helping disconnected couples rebuild both emotional expression and build emotional intimacy and security, as well as talking about desire, having a safe place to discuss sexual fantasies, sexual kinks, sexual, interests, sexual boundaries. We need to be able to have a safe place to talk about sex in order to rebuild that amazing experience of erotic connection. So I would love to help you improve your sex life and have more frequent, more pleasure-oriented sexual experiences together. You can learn about working with me, and you can start to rebuild your marriage and your sex life at wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com. I would love to support you in building a passionate, pleasure-oriented, erotic, and connecting sex life with your partner.